Welcome everybody. Today we're going to explore how London Underground is trying to achieve more miles with reduced budgets through smart track strategies. This is our agenda for today. We'll just go through a quick introductions of who we are, the current landscape, our prioritisation, ballasted track renewals, and then Paul's going to be doing a bit on deep tube renewals, our cost-saving strategies, and then the next steps. So I think Charisma gave us a good overview, so probably don't need to move by itself. Go through who we are again. I think you can work out who's who. So the current landscape. At the moment, London Underground is at a pivotal moment in modernising its track infrastructure. While a significant renewal programme lies ahead, improving the current state of good repair, the opportunity to transform asset performance has never been greater. Recent trends highlight the urgency to act decisively. This challenge is rooted in historic underinvestment, in part due to COVID-19 and funding uncertainty, and the natural ageing of our infrastructure. But it also opens the door for smarter, more sustainable solutions. By embracing a whole life value approach, we can optimise maintenance, reduce our disruptions, and deliver long-term resilience. We've got several new priorities as well, such as sustainability, biodiversity, climate adaptation. Encouragingly, the long-term funding deal that we've had from the government has provided us greater certainty, and through careful financial management, we achieved a surplus last year, unlocking additional investment into our network. And the refurbishment of our engineering fleet is already underway, steadily enhancing our delivery capability and enabling us to achieve more with each renewal cycle.
I'll continue on with prioritization. In order to be able to move forward with delivering under tight budgetary constraints, we focus on prioritization. And how do we prioritize? Our prioritization starts with reviewing all the capital works intervention requests that are usually raised by the line maintainers. This is done through assessment by our engineering team, validate the requests, and then go to site to do investigations. Once these are reviewed, then we have the steering group that decides on priorities based on legal compliance, safety risk, maintenance, and obsolescence. We do this to be able to align to TfL strategic goals because we have assets that have been aging for the past 20, 30 years, and the only way is to make sure that capital expenditure is focused on only the most critical of works. Once we go through that, we come up with options that we look at for the prioritization. Some of the options are for deep tube, we have full renewal or partial renewal. We call it partial renewal, but it is mainly changing bullhead rail to flat bottom rail on concreted track. But that's not just that, but that's re-railing with a plus. Instead of focusing on just changing the rails, we look at what we can do to ensure that the assets will last at least another 15 years to be able to manage track safely for the next 15 years before we look at full renewals.
So, ballasted track renewals. Track renewal budgets within London Underground have been on a decline since circa 2016 and fallen considerably over the last 5 years, due in part to the COVID-19 crisis and wider economic impact. The ballasted track renewal volumes have reduced from a peak of almost 25 kilometres and over 30 P&C units in 2014-2015 to less than 5 kilometres and 6 P&C units done in 23-24. Historically, our ballasted renewals were outsourced to Balfour Beatty in the last 21 years, and due to our funding uncertainty, we've brought our delivery in-house. This is our first year currently of delivering it under the new model, which is the new ballasted track team. We insourced a lot of our resource from Balfour Beatty to bring in the technical knowledge within TfL. This transition is expected to reduce our costs by eliminating the third-party margins and improving control over timelines and quality. So our ballasted track renewals are mostly delivered during weekend possessions. We did go through a period of time of doing overnight delivery. Due to the cost that was creating, we've reverted back to just purely weekend possessions. Our weekend access is currently quite limited because there's a lot of major projects. So from a renewals perspective, we've got to fight with all the major projects like the Piccadilly line upgrade, 4LM, which is the 4 lines modernisation, and other major projects. Our EV availability up until this year has had a lot of issues, so that has been really impacting the meterage that we can deliver per possession, causing the unit rate to increase. So with the funding that's now available for the EV improvements, hoping that that is going to improve. We also have a lot of aging supporting infrastructure like our bridges and embankments, which whenever we come to do a ballasted track renewal requires some support for those structures or embankments, which also is additional funding that we don't have.
I'm going to follow on with deep tube renewals. The 2 sections that come out of deep tube renewals following the prioritization process are full renewal and flat bottom conversions. Deep tube renewals are unique in the sense that, unlike other forms of intervention that happen in the open section, usually done in possession shutdowns, we don't have that luxury to shut the lines down. What we do is we deliver this on nightly basis within a 3 to 4 hour working window. With speed restrictions, I put a photo to indicate the sort of conditions our guys have to work through. Very hot conditions, you got dust, no space to store anything. Nightly, you have to bring all the materials down, break out and take all the rubble out, make sure you deliver on the night to tie to running traffic in the morning. So unlike other interventions where you have time for 3-4 hours to do checks to open the line, we don't have that. We work on a critical path where breaking out track, setting out track, concreting, waiting for the concrete to set. Basically, we use flowable concrete that sets within 5 minutes. Then you wait for half hour to tuck the holding down bolts before waiting for the first sprint to run. The only way we can, obviously, if you look at this, the same way we are delivering track is as it was done 50, 60 years ago. Because although we are in the 21st century, because of space restrictions, we cannot get equipment, on-track equipment to fit in the track. We have to do everything manually. So the 2 sections we have is a full renewal. I've just put some statistics for full renewal. We can manage 2,500 meters a year, and that gives us life expectancy of up to 50 years. In short, why do we do full renewals? Because we got aging track, they cannot support track line upgrades or new trains or new signaling. So we do this to remove significant track force. Sometimes you need to change the geometry to fit the line speed or upgrade you need. And in areas where you have noise complaints, we need to change track forms. The old track forms with jointed track is causing noise. The wood, we want to save the environment. We don't want to continue using wood. The wood cannot hold track. So we do all this to be able to meet the 21st century on a line which was built 150 years ago. I call this Flabberton rail conversion, but not just that, it's Flabberton rail conversion with a plus, in that we're not just changing the rails, but we are making the asset to last. So what we look at is, once changing the rails, we look at an assessment of the sort of intervention we need without changing the full geometry. Just a tweak in alignment to make sure we can keep the existing track alignment, but then get the track to last for the next 10, 15 years. And as part of that, we do minor track geometry fault rectifications. We are moving towards prioritizing FBC, that's Flabberton conversion over full renewal. The reasons are, one, cost efficiency. And when I say cost efficiency, to deliver Flabberton conversion, 500 meter of Flabberton conversion, the cost is a fraction of a full renewal. Plus, if you're going to do a full renewal for a 500 meter section, it could take up to 2 years. If you do it in FBC with the right intervention to make sure it will last for 15 years, that could be done in 3-4 months. It's not just that. By focusing on FBC, we will be able to allow time for planning to fit into TFL strategic goals. For example, if we do a renewal in a section of track, and in 10 years' time, there's going to be a line upgrade with new signaling, that track may not be fit for use and may have to be changed again. So what we do with this is to allow enough time for future planning to make it future-proof so that we don't use the limited budget we have to do work that possibly could have to be done again in 5 years' time. And as a result of that, we are looking at cost-saving strategies which will help us to deliver more. Obviously, our topic is how we can get more money to go for, less money to go more miles. And to do that in terms of deep to renewal, all we can do is to be efficient. And as I said, we have a fixed window, 3-4 hour window. We cannot change that. As part of that, we have to leave almost an hour at the end as a float to ensure that track will be set before the first train. So in effect, for the 4 hours, we have effective 3-hour working time. We have traditional way of breaking concrete, which could take up to 45 minutes. We have 3 hours. If you use 45 minutes to break track, you got 2 hours and 15 minutes to work. It doesn't give you a lot of flow. What we have employed is use of concrete bursters, which use hydraulic means of breaking track, breaking the concrete apart without the usual manpower. You avoid hand-arm vibration for the track people, and you can reduce the 45-minute break time to 15 minutes. We have also adopted the use of scalable metal formwork. Formwork might be something simple, but it could take up to 45 minutes to cut them up with wood. Wood we cannot store on site. We need to take them down and bring them up after every shift. By using the rescalable, adjustable formwork, all you do is, if you're going to do 3 meters, you shape it to 3 meters. If you're going to do 5 meters, you adjust it as such. With that, we reduce shuttering time from 30 minutes to 15 minutes. We can reduce breakout time from 45 minutes to 15 minutes. 15 minutes plus 15 minutes doesn't look much, but for us, 30 minutes is critical because the back end is constant, we cannot change. If we are able to gain 30 minutes of work, we could do extra 30% of work. So work that is planned to be delivered in 2 years can eventually be completed in 18 weeks, and that is how we save money to get our money to go longer. Same with the limited time scales. Because we have 3-hour working window, we have started to experiment the use of extended engineering hours. Our first one is coming through in January, where lines can be shut 2 hours early in areas where the impact on the traveling public is not going to be significant, where we allow ourselves 2 hours before our usual start of engineering hours. Engineering hours is when traffic has stopped and work is ongoing. If we are able to do that, instead of having effective 2-hour working time, we could double that to 4 hours. And if we do that, if we're doing 3 meters a night, we can do 6 meters a night. So when I said we could reduce 2-hour span to 18 months, in that case, you can reduce it as far as from 2 years to, say, 13, 14 months. So this is what, obviously, we need to take note of how this impacts on traffic. We're not going to be able to do that everywhere, but where we can do this, we'll be able to get our money to go more miles. Obviously, with Amy's team, all the work in ballasted is done in possession shutdowns. We time and plan our works to make sure there is always an opportunity to work within that. That gives us more time, and we can do more within the slot. The last initiative we've brought up is to design a new base plate to fit existing narrow sleepers. When we do flower tomb conversion, because of ongoing maintenance interventions, old sleepers have been replaced with new ones. To make it easier, they replace the standard sleeper with a narrow sleeper to make work easier. When we come back, because we have standard base plate that couldn't fit narrow sleepers, we had to go and replace hundreds of sleepers to be able to just do the flower tomb conversion. By coming up with a narrow base plate that will fit into an existing narrow sleeper, we are able to reduce sleeper intervention by up to 50% to be able to move the flower tomb rail conversion forward. So Amy will talk about the renewal strategies we have for the BTT.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, we have brought the ballasted track renewal delivery in-house this year. We've done this because it's a model we already have experience with, as deep tube renewals, which Paul was talking about earlier, are all done in-house already and have been for several years. It eliminates third-party margins, and external delivery providers often charge premiums and incurs additional management costs. Bringing the delivery in-house removes these markups and leading to direct cost savings, which we've estimated at around 5.4 million this year. So it's quite a significant amount. It gives us more control over the timelines and the quality. We can reduce some of our dependency on external suppliers as well, and it should enhance our responsiveness to the project changes that we frequently experience. We can also then share our capabilities across the whole of the track programme. So with Paul's team and the DTRs, we have shared knowledge and experience that we can then pass across in quiet times. We're also really focusing on quality and assurance at the moment because, as with every project, right first time is really important, and any rework ends up costing about 40% of total cost of a project. So eliminating this is key for our efficiency and ensuring our budgets go further. We've got a new quality monitoring system that we're rolling out, and this is going to monitor all processes in real time. These will help us to track deviations and manage the corrective actions. We're going to maintain compliance and high standards throughout the delivery process and improve our product reliability and consistency. We're going to have faster decision making because it's all going to be live, and also the root cause analysis should be easier to manage too. We're hoping it's going to boost our efficiency and reduce the cost of poor quality installation. Techmon is the team that we have used and the app that we've gone with. It digitalizes everything, so we will do it all on iPads on site, and then in real time information gets shared with engineering assurance like Paul and I from home, being able to understand that we're keeping everything to the tolerances that we're expecting. It also should hopefully reduce manual errors and improve the traceability of who's been doing what on site. It gives us automated alerts and can go to any stakeholders that we want, and it will inform us of corrective actions that are required. We've got dashboards that are created and KPI monitoring, so it's all going to be digital, and it makes it a lot quicker and easier for us. The trials are currently underway, so we're aiming for a full rollout within 6 months. Fingers crossed everything goes well, but so far it's looking good. We've done 3 weekends with it so far. By bringing the delivery in-house and integrating the smarter tools, we're gaining control, reducing costs, and hopefully improving our quality. The digital platforms and predictive analytics help us to anticipate the issues before they're going to occur. These strategies should help support our broader goals of efficiency, sustainability, and excellence. Just a nice picture. This is Acton Town, a job that we did in 2020, peak COVID times, and we still managed to get a large P&C renewal or S&C renewal completed.
So what are we doing going forward? In the next steps, as Amy said, the Techmon is already being rolled out as on trial basis. What we want to do is expand that across not just BTR, but also all DTR works. TfL is also investing in dynamic track recording, which will be able to get better understanding of the force on the track and how we manage them. And as part of that, we are looking at more ways to extend our asset life. Obviously, with Duke Tube, I said the way we were renewing track in the Duke Tube 50 years ago, we're doing that today. We don't want that to stay like that. We want to move on. So what we are looking at is a mechanized renewal vehicle. In short, it's going to be a train where we load all the materials we need on the night. As I said, because we don't have storage, all the materials we need have to be taken down. Escalators, sometimes you walk a kilometer to the site. And if we have a train coming with loaded concrete, with equipment, with plan, then you could deliver more, put everything on train, and then you finish, you send that. That reduces manpower, the risk of people falling off each other by taking rubble in and out of the system. We have been, in the next 5 years, hopefully we can get that going, and that is the direction we want to go. We may not be able to fit the mechanized renewal vehicle everywhere, but in most areas where we can fit them, we will be able to do that to be able to get more delivered in a shift. We are also looking at recycling part of the existing concrete. Our biggest problem is manpower, where you break all this concrete, take them all out, and then bring new concrete to replace them. Importantly, not all the concrete is structural. So what we're looking at is when we break the old concrete, we get a suitable crusher to crush the concrete, put some that will be just the bedding concrete that is not going to be structural to the track. Then we can cap it with the structural concrete we need. If we are able to do that, we can reduce the amount of concrete taken out by 50% and correspondingly bring 50% less concrete. That will also reduce, because we have a logistic team of 6 to 8 men on a night. All they are doing is taking rubble out and bringing new concrete. If we are able to reuse 50% of the old concrete, then we can reduce the number by 50%. We will have to deal with less concrete moving, and that can also allow us to do more. So we are looking at all this, where in 5 years' time, we can say we benchmark this at 2025. In 2030, we have been able to reduce the cost of installation by 30%, and that 30% of money will be able to do another set of tracks. So that is the way forward, looking at track renewals in both DTR and BTR. So thank you for listening to us, and there'll be opportunity to ask questions when we finish. Thank you.